Okay, it's 6:45. We will open the public hearing for Havenwood Flats and Oslo Lofts by John and Molly. Are there any questions or comments?
How much, I can't believe there's that much room down there for all that.
We have John and Molly here,
Yeah.
if anyone
And
has any questions.
Jason Biltz is here
Jason.
with Tecton as well. So everybody got the narrative and the layout, proposed layout. Very interesting, attractive project, I believe. Provides a mixed-use development here in town. Planning and zoning obviously may have reviewed this and made their recommendation to approve it. There weren't any objections at that time, surrounding property owners or anything. So that's really all I have, unless you guys have specific questions for them or me.
John and Molly, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick.
I was distracted with side talking.
That's okay.
So, about this, a little under a year ago, my wife decided to run the Columbus Marathon. And so she spent a lot of days training on the trail, and I would go with her sometimes for the shorter durations. And we would jog by this property. It's vacant. There's nothing there. It's just open land. It's right next to the trail. And over the summertime, we would run into a lot of people that were either traveling across America or Cleveland to Cincinnati, just going on right through Millersburg. And people, you can tell when somebody's not from around here, and just making small talk with them. And where's a place to camp? A lot of these bikers, they have tents with them. We don't have anything like that in Millersburg. So we happened to see this land, and I knew the guy that owned it before us, Tom Bird, and I talked to him, and he goes, yeah, actually, I do have it listed for sale, and so we kind of forgot about it. A couple months later, we contacted him again. We ended up buying the land late last year, and I know Jason Biltz from a while ago. He and I are good friends, and he's an engineer, so I got hold of him, kind of told him what Molly and I's dreams are of that area, and I think everybody should have a copy of that. So we love the rails trails. It was just sitting there, and this is America. You can kind of, if you have enough. We don't.
I wish we had
We're
more
not
money.
really money, but we have an idea, and we just want to do it. And so Jason kind of put up a plan. Everything kind of fits. It's kind of what we kind of envision, and there's obviously some holdbacks with zoning and things like that. So, but I think Millersburg has a lot to offer to people out of town. When we see that all the time, you drive through, especially on the weekends. There's a lot of tourism, and then from what we saw on the trail, there's just a lot of activity from out of town people that could spend more money here, just enjoy what our little village has to offer. So.
Can talk about the long term.
Yeah, and then also, I know Molly and I, we both work with younger professionals, and the housing pricing is just too high for somebody in their early 20s that doesn't have money saved up for a down payment for a $400,000 house. And so we really wanted to also create an opportunity for people to rent long-term, and that's where some of those 1-bedroom and 2-bedrooms are. There's just not enough, I think, of that to offer in Holmes County. And like I said, if you want to buy a house out of college, you either have to have maybe a parent's help in, or you've been saving for a long time, and that's just, it's not an ideal situation for everybody. So we want to create that opportunity for people that, hey, they got a good job at one of the great businesses in our county, but maybe they don't have that $40,000 to $60,000 saved up, where they could rent an apartment for a couple of years while they kind of get life underneath them. So, and then also the primitive camping, then the short-term rentals. So those are going to be for people, anybody on the trail, or even people just visiting our area. They can stay for the night in more like a cabin type setting, and then obviously the long-term right off of Hickory Street. So. any questions or,
I think it's great. You've kind of covered everything, short-term, long-term, anything anybody might want. You guys have it covered, and I
Yeah.
think that's great.
and then we were in here at a meeting, I think it was 2 months ago, but there is no primitive camping on the rails trails in Holmes County, so this would be kind of a first. I think it'd be a cool attraction. We do have easement access already to the rails and trails. We have that done already, so, you know, if somebody's biking from Cleveland, they can go off the trail, set up their tent, you know, lock their bike up, they can walk up here, they can go to Bags or the brewery, or the, you know, Cider Press or something like that, Fox's Pizza, so, not for long. So, yeah, that was the idea.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Millersburg. I grew up in Berlin my whole life.
Hmm.
My parents are immigrants to the United States, so I'm a first generation American, so,
I just never saw the last name before.
Yeah.
The two.
Awesome.
yeah. My parents immigrated here in 1989 from Ukraine, and so
Oh.
an Amish family helped them get settled in this area, so that's why we stayed here. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I appreciate your vision.
Yeah,
I think it's a very neat idea.
yeah,
Thank you.
it is, it is. Does anyone have any questions or comments for John? Or Molly?
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Good use of land. You know, there's a lot of people that, like you say, are biking through the area, see them all the time, and,
Yeah.
you know, they can coordinate their stops here versus somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just the other day, I was driving west out of town, and by the time I was driving back, we just live up here on top of the hill, but if you're looking at the village when you're pulling in, like, there's a dark area right there, so there is just nothing, it's just vacant. So it's just a good opportunity to put something that could also generate stuff for the village too, with bed taxes and whatnot too, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Just
great.
a question,
Yes.
how would this be, or who would manage the sites?
The sites? That is a good question. I think initially, I think that's something my wife and I want to take on, and then obviously have some hired help with like landscaping and some of the, maybe the bigger tasks. But there's a lot of automated programs out there that help with like bookings and things like that, as far as like the campsites and the short-term rentals and things like that.
I work part-time at La Palma.
Okay.
And I get a great number of people, locals and lots of tourists who ask lots of questions. This was just another venue that I could have answers for them should they ask. So in future, I think people like myself who work at the restaurants downtown will need to have that information as to
Right.
who do you if someone comes in
Yeah.
to me and says, David, where, I understand that there's this site, how do I connect with it? Now, I'm not iPhone crazy,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be able to tell them what to do, but if you had that written down, and I could say, here, take this, call it, and you can contact if you need something.
Yeah.
You're interested in staying in a primitive or short term.
His other half is a marketing major, and she might know how to.
Okay.
But that's a very good idea, and
Yeah.
it's very smart to make sure everyone is.
Yeah, and I think in the meantime, we're very new to this, so the first thing we want to do is make sure we can do it. We ended up buying the land anyway, because we feel confident in our abilities and what we have to offer, but when those days start moving forward and things like that, yeah, that's a good question to tackle, and whether it's online or not, but I think, I've been to campsites where they're rural and they're kind of like self-pay. I think that's kind of been an option in the back of my mind too, because it'll be a new situation or a new area people will probably bike through before, and all of a sudden they're gonna see it, and they won't have time maybe to download like a camping app or something like that, but they could do like a self-pay.
Right. And then keep in mind that I can't say much of this county is lacking in connecting to internet.
Oh.
Where I live, really between Killbot and Winlock,
Yeah,
We'll work on it.
yeah, I think there's plenty, even just cell phone service is pretty good. I don't think we've ever had an issue down there, like listening to music or calling people while down there. Yeah.
Do you have a timeline for when you hope to do this? Or have you already started?
No, we haven't started, but this is why we're here. If the zoning goes through, and the changes happen, we would like to start this summer, and maybe try to get at least the primitive ending maybe by fall time. That won't take a lot of engineering to do, but, yeah, we would like to start as soon as possible, so.
So tonight will be our first reading, and then our final reading and the vote will be our last meeting of February,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
Thank you very much, John, Molly, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to say, or questions, comments?
Is your name as easy to pronounce as it looks?
It's pronounced Latute.
Oh.
So L, like, almost like L-A, yeah.
Toot.
So don't say it wrong.
All right,
Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
okay,
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and we'll reconvene in 3 minutes.